Hogan just said that because certain things were cheaper under Trump, it's a failure of Biden. Will Hogan acknowledge, therefore, that because those very same goods were cheaper under Obama, Trump also did something wrong?
Well, I'm sure they were cheaper under Grover Cleveland, too. That's not the point.
That's exactly the point.
The point is, where are we now?
Hogan seems to, I guess, want deflation, which doesn't seem to be good. So just maybe someone who knows more can explain it to me.
No, I guess that's not happening now. Okay.
Hey, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into a fiery debate where David Pakman absolutely shuts down Hogan Gidley and Megyn Kelly with their typical MAGA talking points. During this intense discussion on inflation, it's clear that Pakman's solid understanding of economic principles completely overshadows the MAGA stance. Hogan, trying his best to defend Trump's policies, ends up practically speechless as Pakman delivers fact after fact. Let's dive into this showdown and watch Pakman work his magic. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more deep dive analyses. Let's get into it.
Of things, because there was a lot there. You know, on inflation, I mean, listen, groceries and gas, they were even cheaper under Obama. They were even cheaper under Bush and cheaper under Clinton. I mean, yes, there is inflation. We have not had a deflationary spiral, but inflation's at about 3% right now, which is what every serious economist says is the target. With regard to the record right now, unemployment, I mean, it's almost silly for me to do this because the American people know, but we've never had unemployment below 4%. We've never had unemployment below 4% for this long in 50 years, and it remains there. Wage growth has outpaced inflation. GDP is a completely normal and healthy 3%. You know, it's like people know this.
Why don't you try immigration? Because that's in the news today, David. Yes. Take that one up.
Well, I mean, ask me a question about it. What's the
question? Are we doing better under Joe Biden when it comes to illegal immigration than we were under Trump?
How do you define better?
Fewer.
People continue to cross over illegally as they have for, 100 years, 200 years?
So it's the same.
I think that one of the funny things that has happened is that for months, I'm sorry, I think we're talking over each other.
No, I'm saying that's dishonest. You're saying don't trust the Republicans on their messaging, and you come on here and want to tell me that it's the same. Like they're just continuing.
No,
there's been no increase.
There have been periods of
a couple of months ago we had 10,000 a day crossing the southern border. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry, I think we're all talking over each other.
Now, go ahead, David. The floor is yours. Wait, Hogan, I'll bring you in, but let me defend that. Go ahead, David.
Oh, okay. No, listen, I mean, based on the Border Patrol statistics, there have been times during the Biden administration where crossings have on average been below where they were under Trump. At some points, they were above that. The funniest part to me about immigration is that now that Republicans themselves torpedoed the bill they wanted because Trump said, no, I need something to run on, I need something to do, Biden puts in place this limitation, which, by the way, doesn't solve the reason people are trying to come here. We need more immigration judges. I'm glad Biden made this point. Now that he did it, they're still not happy. And they're saying, well, it's only for political reasons. Why do you think Trump wanted to do this? It's also for political reasons. So this seems like a political game to me when the reality, Megyn, is we never permanently deal with DACA. We never permanently deal with the reasons people even want to come over here in the first place. It's a lame political football.
Wow. Okay, go ahead. It's fascinating to me for me to hear. I have to say, David, I appreciate you coming on the show because we don't get a lot of progressives, and they know I don't really agree with them on most things.
I don't know why not.
I actually really I appreciate you being here and saying, you know, the way you see these things and the way the left views these things, because it's actually educational.
Well, I don't know about the left, but listen, I'm on the left. Countries have a right to enforce immigration policy. If you're here illegally, of course, you're subject to deportation. I mean, I think that there's a caricaturizing that happens of the left on this issue. I'm an immigrant from Argentina. We came here legally. I'm now an American citizen. People still write to me and say, you should go back to Argentina. But listen, I don't want the left characterized as something that it isn't on this issue. You'll never hear me say a country doesn't have a right to enforce policy.
Otherwise,
yeah, I'm with Pakman all the way on this one. During the debate, he smartly pointed out the inconsistency in border crossing numbers, highlighting how under Biden, the numbers have sometimes been lower than under Trump, which really puts Hogan's arguments in a tough spot. Pakman's point that Republicans themselves torpedoed the bill they wanted because Trump said, no, 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 I need something to run on, just shows how much political theater influences these policies rather than genuine solutions. It's refreshing to see Pakman cut through the typical political noise, focusing on real issues instead of playing the blame game. What do you think of his approach? Drop a comment below, and if you like this kind of content, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel.
We'd have different policy. I mean, Hogan, you work for the Trump administration. The first thing that Joe Biden did when he took over was to reverse the three principal things that Trump was doing to stop the flow of illegal migrants across the southern border, the Remain in Mexico program, the asylum seekers en masse, and the construction of the border wall. He shut it all down. He sold off all the parts. You couldn't even try to rebuild the wall thanks to what he did. Yeah, there was. Go ahead, Hogan.
All right. First things first. You notice Dave said, most economists will tell you that the correct percentage, I know that's a bad impression, Dave, but nonetheless, economists don't matter in this scenario. The American people do. They're paying more for simple goods and services that they weren't paying under Donald Trump, and they know that. It's like a tax heaped upon their head. As far as the border is concerned, because I was in the White House during this, and I had a lot of fights with press folks about this very topic. Joe Biden looks around and acts as though these things are just happening to him. They're happening because of him, in large measure because of the policy. He wants the border open. Now, I would argue he wants to flood this country with people illegally to get them on the government dime and then have them vote Democrat in perpetuity. But this whole show press conference he had the other day is insane for so many reasons. First of all, I was told the border was secure. So what are we even talking about? Second of all, I was told he couldn't do anything. He, from the executive branch, made all these changes, but somehow that requires a legislative solution. That doesn't make any sense. He did it because it's going to get enjoined, and the courts are going to step in and say, no, you can't do this. And he can say, see, I was going to do something, but the Republicans wouldn't do it because MAGA and Trump said they couldn't. You realize the Senate had a bill that could not pass the Senate. The House had a bill. That was H.R. 2. The Senate won't take it up. And the reason what Joe Biden wants to do won't secure the border at all, forget the nuance of it, even though we could go through point by point and show you how it doesn't. The media and the left love it. If it actually secured the border, they'd want no part of it whatsoever. So to hear the left try and rewrite history that somehow immigration was just as high under Donald Trump is absolute insanity. The American people know it because back then it was just along the southern border. Now, thanks to Republican governors who had the guts to send people into these communities that say they wanted them, when they got there, that lasted about 15 minutes. And then they realized it was a strain on the education system, the healthcare system, the first responders, et cetera. They realized this is no good. Now, all of a sudden, he's coming to pretend as though he's trying to do something. And one more thing about the courts. He's going to back down because somebody will enjoin this. He doesn't have a problem when the Supreme Court says you don't have the right to forgive student loan debt and pass off someone else's college tuition to another person. He doesn't care about that. He goes right through it. When a court says, hey, you can't mandate vaccines on 80 million people, he says, to hell with the courts. I'll go through OSHA and try to force the American people to do that. So spare me the pearl clutching. This is all his fault. And the American people know it because when he did overturn everything, every single person in the media said, this is the humane way to do it. He's doing the right thing. The administration joked and said, too many executive orders for us to even understand. I don't even remember it. We've done so many. They know it. They broke it. They bought it.
I'm actually tired of all these mega fans. Talking point, what is he even talking about?
Go ahead, Dave.
I have to say that there's so much there. I don't even know that we could go through every single thing, but just to pick where Hogan started on inflation and kind of ridiculing economists and this and that, Hogan just said that because certain things were cheaper under Trump, it's a failure of Biden. Will Hogan acknowledge, therefore, that because those very same goods were cheaper under Obama, Trump also did something wrong?
Well, I'm sure they were cheaper under Grover Cleveland, too. That's not the point.
That's exactly the point.
The point is, where are we now?
You're just making
Can we get the inflation back to where we were? And the answer is yes, with the right policy.
Are you calling for a deflationary spiral? I mean, here's the thing I don't understand, Megyn, and I'm not asking this rhetorically. I actually want to understand this as someone with a background in economics. If inflation goes below zero, you create a deflationary spiral where people
Even Trump said
expect
that.
things to be cheaper in the future, and so they wait to buy anything, which hurts the economy. This is
Wait,
why
let me
in
just
the
say,
world
let me
of
just add to that.
economics-
So even Trump said this on the stump just last week. He said we were around 1.4%, which is even better than zero for the exact reasons you just cited. Keep going.
2 to 3 is typically what you want. That's where economic growth comes from. So the thing I struggle with, and I really do want to understand it, because for me, people who know me know I don't play political games with gas prices. I don't play political games with inflation. I really, my view on this is just from economics. The goal from which traditional economics, not Marxist left-wing stuff, traditional economics says you want around 3% inflation, because that is an incentive to buy now rather than later, and it's where wage growth and economic growth comes from. Hogan seems to, I guess, want deflation, which doesn't seem to be good. So just maybe someone who knows more can explain it to me.
No, I guess that's not happening now. Okay, let's go. Let's go back to immigration. Oh, go ahead, Hogan, if you want to.
Well, the silence from Hogan and Megyn after Pakman shut them down with a simple economic question is honestly hilarious. Hogan's over there ranting about how economists don't matter, and how Biden somehow broke everything Trump built. But when Pakman hits him with straightforward logic, saying Hogan just said that because certain goods were cheaper under Trump, it's a failure of Biden. So does Hogan admit that since goods were cheaper under Obama, Trump failed too? Hogan is completely silent. Pakman absolutely nailed it here, pointing out clearly how inflation works by explaining that traditional economics targets around a 3% inflation rate, which helps encourage spending and growth. As Pakman said, if inflation goes below zero, you create a deflationary spiral where people expect things to get cheaper, so they wait to buy anything, hurting the economy. Hogan's got nothing to respond with, and it's pretty funny how his typical mega talking points just collapse when confronted with basic economics. What do you guys think about Pakman's breakdown of inflation and economic principles compared to Hogan's take? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'm curious to hear your perspectives on this debate. This is Cole Talk. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.